Hello, and welcome to Wealth Bytes, the only channel and podcast dedicated to tech professionals in Australia. Today, I want to talk about why your company shares are not your retirement plan. Imagine this, waking up tomorrow in the morning to find 40% of your future gone. The projects that you built are still humming, but the shares that were meant to fund your freedom slashed overnight. It's scary, I know, so stick with me for the next 15 minutes and you will never look back at your company stock and retirement the same way again. So let me start by giving you a quick outline of what I'm going to talk about today. So today I'm going to talk about the illusion of security and the story of a tech executive who watched 40% of their portfolio vanish in just 1 year. Then I'll be talking about shares and real wealth. So how you can convert your company shares into real wealth that lasts your family. And the RSUs, the tax traps, and the pivot that moves the smartest engineers and tech professionals, and they're already making very smartly. Then I'll be talking about shares that are booming and should you sell them. It's a very common question. I have those shares. I have $300,000 worth of shares. Do I sell? Do I keep? The company is doing great. So we'll bust the loyalty myth and show you a two-step diversification rule anyone can use. Then I'm going to talk about my favorite subject, superannuation, the underestimated powerful tax planning tool that we have here in Australia. I'll show you how David, 42 years old, legally cut tax on his $240,000 portfolio of shares, how he cut off the tax man as a business partner. So make it to the end and you will walk away with a blueprint, not just ideas. So let me talk about the hidden risks of relying on company shares and the illusion of security. So you think that you're familiar with the company, you think you're doing great things, you love it, you're changing the world. That's so cool, I know. But familiarity isn't safety. You don't know what's being cooked in the other kitchen. Your kitchen is great, but we don't know what competitors are doing. And we have heaps of examples that happened in the last few years where companies thought that they're doing great things and then a competitor or a startup comes up and say, hey, we're going to do that, double the efficiency, half the cost. And then the companies are really surprised and shocked. So your salary and shares rise and fall on one ticker, on one wrong decision in that boardroom in the 15th floor. Alex, a senior developer in 2024, he had a market wobble. The stock were down by 40%. What this meant for him is that his retirement age was pushed from age 54 to retire optional, work at his own terms, to retire at 60 at least. That's 6 years. Imagine how much stress he had with this market wobble. So your job is already concentration of risk. You have your salary, your superannuation guarantee going in from your salary, your RSUs, your bonuses. Sometimes even the insurances that you have are paid by your employer, like in Microsoft, for example. So don't double load the horse load. It's really, really risky. Now, let me talk about how you can turn your company shares into real wealth, real money that you and your family can enjoy. Buy a new car or buy yourself a toy, or how you can invest or buy your next investment property. Some people think that those shares came for free. No, they didn't came for free. They took out of your time, your effort, your commitment to your family. So you have to really work with these shares very smartly. So let me first talk about how the RSUs walks you unconsciously into a trap. So you walk through vesting and then the RSUs are taxed as ordinary income for you. What this means is that you are taxed 45% plus 2% Medicare levy. So this basically means that you have a business partner. For every dollar you make, 47 cents are going to the tax man. I don't think that's what you would like to do. You'd like to keep more, right? So let me talk to you about 3 divestment moves that we do with our clients. Obviously, this is not financial advice, and I would encourage you to seek one, but it's just some ideas. So the first thing is you need to think about auto selling to avoid over-anchoring of your shares into capital gains. So when you keep your shares after vesting, the capital gains start to accumulate. And then this means really double thinking about Do I keep or do I sell? Because, oh my God, I'm scared I'm paying too much tax. So when you have the auto sell or investing within 30 days, if you sell the shares, there are no capital gains on it. And this gives you a lot of opportunities of either buy the shares again under a different structure or diversify and buy other assets like managed funds or ETFs or contribute to a deposit of a property, whatever that is. Different things can be done, right? So the smart divestment move is to auto sell at vesting time, if you like, and then repurchase inside a smarter wrapper, really. So we want to wrap your shares if you like them so much, which I know you like so much. So you can put them in your super. It means that it's taxed at 15% instead of 47%, and it's zero tax at pension. So if you keep them as long as you reach the retirement age, it's going to be 0% on it. So this is lovely, right? Second thing is you can consider using a trust. Different types of trusts give you different kind of benefits. So you need to work smartly on which trust fits your circumstances. You will do an income split on the dividends or the sale. It can help you and your family reduce the overall tax. You can also consider buying the shares again in a company, which is approximately 30% tax. There are also pros and cons of having shares and investments in companies, but it's obviously, 30% tax is less than 47. That's a 17% taxes for you. So basically you're keeping more in your pocket. Again, this is not financial advice and please seek one. The third thing is catch-up concession contributions. So we can really look at contributing to super if you have the limit, and this basically means reducing your tax even further. So the message here is I'm not really anti your company. I'm just more pro you and more pro you professionally and personally. So professionally, I would say, look, you need to make a diversification plan. But personally also, if you're really, really committed to your company, I like you to have these shares under a different structure that saves you tax on the short and long term. Remember, my approach is I need you to think about how I'm going to be saving tax every year in an intentional way. Have an intentional plan. Not that you're scrapping through the receipts before the 30th of June to find this laptop that you bought or this mobile phone that you bought to claim as a tax deduction, but have a system in place to help you reduce your tax. So let's talk about your company shares. And they're performing really well, they're booming, and then you're thinking, why should I sell? I made 200 or 300% in the last 4 or 5 years. That's crazy performance. No one can give me this performance. My company is killing it, etc., etc., which I hear all the time. But I want you to think about logic more than loyalty, because that's more of a loyalty conversation. So loving your employer is really noble, really adorable. I like it. Stay loyal to your employer. Give them all the effort that you'd like to, but letting them be 80% or 90% of your net worth is reckless. Let me repeat that. It is reckless. Do not give your wealth away 80 or 90% into a property or a single investment or a single company. That is being reckless. And there are diversification myth about that some people think because you're a global company, you are diversified. So you're selling your products and services across the world. So we're diversified, we're all good. No, you're not all good. If your cloud service fails, it fails mostly, right? I'm not really a technical guru, but that's what I understand. If a company mess up, it mess up everywhere. So why would you think that you are protected? You are not. You need to think about the reality. The reality is it's one ticker and it's still one ticker regardless of what happens and where you sell your service. So in that sense, I want you to have a two-step rule. And this two-step rule have proven very successful in the last 20 years with my client. When we use the confident choice system to build advice for our clients, we embed this two-step rule, which means we have a cap on any single stock at more than 10% of your liquid asset, be it your employer or not. Sometimes the clients push back and say, we're expecting the share to go this and go there. Maybe we slightly, adjusted to 11 or 12, but I like to keep it as 11. So we have this traffic light system. We measure really diversification of your overall portfolio across different asset classes and, different countries, etc. So more than 10% into one share, please don't do it, right? That's my suggestion for you today. The other thing is you need to think about your portfolio and rebalance it every year at least. We recommend twice a year, but at least a year. Let's have a look at where your money is, how you invested, where are you invested, all this sort of stuff. And you need to rebalance. It's an emotional check, and it really will help you to understand and ask yourself, if my employer is not my employer, would I buy this much today? If you are not working in Atlassian or Amazon, would you put $50,000 every year in this same company? That's a question for you. Now, let's talk about superannuation, my favorite tax saving system. Superannuation is the most tax effective environment in Australia. No matter how smart you are, no matter how complex your plan is, superannuation on the short, medium, and long term is the way to go if you want to save on tax in a smart and efficient way. So let me talk to you about David. He's a 42 years old senior developer in one of the big companies. He had $240,000 worth of shares. And he was scared to death about the amount of money in these shares. We had a plan for him to quarterly drip sell his shares, and we had also other strategies to offset his capital gains in a way that made him more comfortable even selling. So we did salary sacrificing, we used the limits on his concessional contributions, we even used some non-concessional contributions because of the long-term potential for the shares and investments that he had. And this gave him peace of mind that he is actually divesting from concentration risk from company shares. And hey, he's getting shares again every month to vest. So why not sell some and, reduce the concentration risk. So it was very successful plan for David, gave him a lot of confidence and peace of mind, which was very important and on the top of the list for him. So really what I wanted to talk about today is that real wealth isn't built on one logo or one strategy. It's multiple strategies wrapped up together to build on a comprehensive kind of plan for the short and long term that help you to build for the future, for your family and for your legacy. So if you're drowning invested stocks and don't know the next move, let's have a quick chat. Let's see how I can help and if I can help. And I hope this session was helpful for you. I hope you had some value. If you have any questions, please reach out, email me, mo@mywealthchoice.com.au, and my details are always shared online. Thank you and have a great day.